Hi there, welcome to my views and news. Four new stories for you viewers. We have one update and three main news stories in this video. Firstly, an Ethiopian minister today publicly threatened critics. It means now that no one should question the government, no matter how fair the criticism is. Since yesterday, the Ethiopian government has been trying to defend the increase in fuel prices. People are raising questions, valid questions, and instead of answering the questions, the government is resorting to threatening the people, the critics, journalists. Secondly, viewers, Ethiopian stock market is going to be operational from Friday, reportedly. What is the significance of this development? Thirdly, Tigray, viewers, Tigray Islamic Affairs Supreme Council held a press briefing on the issue of hijab, ban on hijab in Axum. 3 days ago, Tigray Islamic Affairs Supreme Council gave a warning. It gave 3 day ultimatum to the authorities to solve the issue. Issue is still unsolved. So, what does Tigray Islamic Affairs Council want to do now? Before these three news stories, an update for you. In a video a few hours ago, I told you about two draft laws which were going to be tabled at the Ethiopian parliament today. This morning in the video, I told you that two laws were going to be debated. In the next video, I told you about the first law about petroleum products, so which was approved by the parliament. And second law was being debated, which has also been approved by the parliament. This second law is being seen as controversial by some people. Asset beyond means law. I want to share just 3 points from this law, and you can see for yourself that this law can be used by the government against anyone. It can be used for political victimization. I am not against, by the way, asset beyond means law. Such laws should be put in place, but the exercise, the enforcement should be transparent, which is not the case, isn't going to be the case in Ethiopia. Because without independent judiciary, asset beyond means law is always used by the government to silence people, to crush dissent. Now, the law states that if anyone is found having assets beyond their means of earning, they will be held accountable. Assets of the last 10 years can be investigated. So the investigators can go 10 years back and they can question your assets which you made last year, 2 years ago, in the last 10 years. Assets worth 10 million birr. Obviously, the poor has nothing to fear, but if someone has an asset worth over 10 million birr, questions can be asked by relevant authorities. The asset holder will have to prove that the money he used to buy the asset was illegally earned. Without court order, the investigators, the relevant authorities can freeze the asset for 3 days. Whether it's a bank account, it's a property, it can be frozen by government officials for 3 days. And then the asset holder obviously will have to prove that he is the legal owner. Matter will be taken to court as well. Again, I'm saying I am not against this law, but I fear this law will be used for political victimization. It has happened in several countries that asset beyond means laws are used for political purposes. Let's hope that government uses it in a fair manner against both the government people, against, by the way, there are millions of Ethiopians in bureaucracy, in military, in politics who have assets worth more than 10 million birrs. Will all they be questioned, or will people be picked and action will be taken against them? Let's see what happens. Law has been approved now. Second, viewers, since yesterday, the Ethiopian government has been trying to defend increase in oil prices. Government increased fuel prices by over 11% 48 hours ago. It's a huge increase, keeping in view people's purchasing power, which is already declining. Ethiopian currency birr lost significantly in the last few months. People's purchasing power is already weak. It got weaker in recent months. And now, when petroleum products are going to be more expensive, it means that it will have a devastating effect on the lives of people. Uh, Government critics, some journalists are raising questions. Joar also tweeted yesterday. Joar is in search of anything he can find to criticize the government. Others, they are trying to create a storm in social media. Obviously, Jawar, like people, they want to mobilize people. He wants conflict, political upheaval, political uprising in Ethiopia to facilitate his return to start a movement against the government. Lagasse, firstly, last night, Ethiopian Broadcasting Corporation published a report. It claimed that petrol prices in Ethiopia are still lower in comparison to other countries. And the report claimed that Ethiopia is the 8th cheapest country in Africa in terms of gasoline prices. And it's the 28th cheapest country in the world. But the report did not mention the purchasing power of the people. If you compare petroleum prices in the US and in Ethiopia, you'll have to compare per capita income as well in the two countries. Per capita income in US is way higher than in Ethiopia. If fuel prices in Ethiopia and the US are the same, it means that Ethiopian people will suffer, because their per capita income is way lower than that of the people in the US. So government is only comparing fuel prices in Ethiopia and the US, Ethiopia and Kenya, Ethiopia and Tanzania, Ethiopia and Uganda. But government is not comparing people's purchasing power in Ethiopia and other countries. And today, Lagasse Trollo publicly threatened people who are raising these questions for questioning EBC's report. Lagasse Trollo called critics traitors. He said those who are raising these questions about fuel prices are basically traitors. Action will be taken. They are on political agenda. Fuel prices in Ethiopia are lower. And he compared fuel prices in Ethiopia and in Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda. But again, he did not compare the purchasing power of people in Ethiopia and Kenya, Ethiopia and Uganda, Ethiopia and Tanzania. He said average petrol price in the world is $1.25 per liter. And in Ethiopia, it's $0.80 per liter. So it means that fuel is cheap in Ethiopia, cheaper than most of the countries of the world. But again, no comparison of the purchasing power. Uh, Government does not want to admit that this fuel price increase will make people's lives difficult, but even a layman can see that economic hardships are going to be challenging for the people of Ethiopia. And government has launched now its activists, its media to justify the increase. Faisa Lalisa spoke on that, if you remember. I did a video on that a few hours ago. I compared statements of Faisa Lalisa and Haile Gabriel Selassie. So pro-government, government elements are defending the fuel price increase, which should not be defended, by the way. Government, by the way, has very limited options. Why? Because it uh, signed agreements with IMF, World Bank. It got billions of dollars from the IMF and World Bank, and it agreed to withdraw subsidies. The subsidy which the government was giving to people on fuel is being withdrawn. And that is what IMF wants, because IMF wants to recover its money. So Ethiopia will have to cut down subsidies more. You could see more increase in fuel price in Ethiopia in coming months, I believe. Uh, Thirdly, viewers, Ethiopian Stock Exchange is going to start operations on Friday, tomorrow, reportedly. It was being said that the stock exchange will kick off in November. Ethiopia hired international experts to kickstart the stock exchange. In November, the stock exchange could not be launched. Some technical errors delayed the launch. Technical issues have been solved. Reportedly, now the stock exchange will start trading from Friday, from tomorrow. But we'll have to wait to see that. No official confirmation so far, but reportedly all preparations have been made, and we could see official launch of the stock exchange tomorrow. Ethiopia is planning to list around 50 companies on the stock exchange. Ethiopian state-owned companies will also be listed. Ethio Telecom is already selling its shares. If you want to know how to buy the telecom shares, you can go to newsedis.com. I wrote an article there in detail. I shared the method of buying shares of Ethio Telecom through Teleper there. Government is hoping to get foreign investment through this stock exchange, and some foreign business entities from Kenya, from South Africa, from Nigeria have shown interest in being listed on the stock exchange. We'll see tomorrow what happens. Will this stock exchange be attractive to foreign investors? For almost a year, for more than a year, Ethiopian government officials have been working, trying to talk to international investors, to other governments, that they could show, so that they will show interest in becoming part of this stock exchange. We'll see tomorrow, viewers. Tomorrow could be a big day. And secondly, we'll have to wait to see how much of investors' profits will be allowed to be taken from Ethiopia to their countries. I mean, if Kenyan business entities invest in Ethiopian stock market, how much of their profit will be allowed to leave Ethiopia? Because Ethiopia is in need of dollars. Ethiopia is in need of foreign exchange. It cannot be always reliant on IMF and World Bank. It needs foreign exchange reserves, which it is facing shortage of. Let's see. We'll update you tomorrow on this issue. By the way, Ethiopia did have a stock exchange in the past too, during Haile Selassie era. From 1960 to 1974, I think, Ethiopia had a stock exchange. 1974, it stopped operations. I think now the stock exchange is being relaunched, you can say. Lastly, viewers, Tigray, what is happening there? Has the issue of hijab been settled or not? You know that In Axum city of Tigray, a school prevented female students from wearing hijab. The principal of the school said that girl students can cover their head, but they cannot fully cover their hair, and they should follow the dress code which other students are following. Tigray Education Affairs Bureau wrote a letter, and it said that no school can implement its own dress code. Indirectly, it supported Muslim female students' position. Muslim students, they were suspended from the school because they refused to come to school without hijab. Around 160 of these students are set to appear in 12th grade exam, but they could not apply for the exam because they were not at schools. They were boycotting the studies. They were not being allowed to join the school. The Islamic Affairs Supreme Council 3 days ago held a press briefing in Makale. It gave 3-day ultimatum to the authorities to solve this issue. And today it gave an update. Issue is unsolved. Despite a letter written by Tigray Education Affairs Bureau to the schools, despite calls made by Tigray Islamic Affairs Bureau to Federal Ministry of Education, issue is still unresolved. Students are still suspended. Their participation in 12th grade university entrance exam is uncertain. Now, Tigray Islamic Research Council has taken the matter to a court, saying that it has started legal proceedings against the relevant school authorities, firstly. Secondly, federal body, Islamic Affairs Supreme Council, federal body, is going, members of federal body are going to arrive in Makale on Friday. They are coming to Makale to solve this issue. I have not seen a statement from Ethiopian Education Ministry of Brahanu Naga. What is the ministry's position? Does ministry support girls wearing hijab, or is it against the girls wearing hijab? It's not clear. But I have seen several comments, several posts by diaspora, Tigrayan diaspora community members, females, and they're overwhelmingly supportive of Tigray female students' position. They say that female students should be allowed to wear hijab. It should not be a matter of dispute because there were no such disputes during the war. These people fought together. They fought alongside each other. They had no differences, no disputes. Their survival was linked. And now, when they are in the process of rehabilitation and restructuring of their institutions, disputes are arising. It's very unfortunate, by the way, that the issue has been highlighted on this level. On international level, this issue has been highlighted. Tigrayan diaspora speaking, Tigray government's education bureau issued a statement. Still, the Axum school authorities are refusing, they are not letting the female students wear hijab, ready to endanger the educational careers of 160 female students of Axum. Let's see how this matter is solved. Thank you for watching.